video, I'm going to be talking about autism and masking and what exactly it is. All that plus more is coming right up. Hey guys, welcome back to TheAspieWorld. My name is Dan. I have autism, ADHD, OCD and dyslexia, and I make weekly videos on this type of content. So if you're new around here and you'd love to learn more, please hit that subscribe button by clicking the notification bell. And if you're watching over on Facebook, be sure to give this page a like and a follow so you don't miss any videos. All right, let's get on with it. Hey guys, welcome back. It's TheAspieWorld. Oh yeah. I don't know why I'm dancing. I feel like in a pretty good mood today. Just being out for a walk, feeling pumped. But I wanted to do a video about autism and masking because I feel like it's a big topic that we don't really cover. So if you want to go ahead and follow me on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok, the calls to action, my names will be here so you can follow me. Links are in the description below if you want to check me out on there, but I also do content on those platforms, so it's way worth checking it out. Okay, so autism and masking. I wanted to try and cover in this video some stuff about autism and masking and how it kind of feels from that person's point of view and how you can potentially spot it. So if somebody is on the autism spectrum, then you can like look at what they're doing and then kind of think, oh, okay, well maybe it's masking, or maybe it's this, maybe it's that. But it's a huge thing. Like masking and autism is a big deal, and I'll get into why it's a big deal right now. So I really want to start with some facts and figures and why this is important to masking. Now, people diagnosed with autism, there are 3 times as many boys diagnosed with autism than there are girls, which is basically like, you know, you have 1 girl diagnosed with autism for every 3 boys diagnosed with autism, which is a really interesting figure, which means that like only a third of the population of girls compared to boys actually have autism diagnosis. But that isn't really the case of the fact that they don't have it. Like, you know, it's not like only like a lesser amount have it. It's just that people on the autism spectrum, specifically females, have a great deal of masking going on, which makes it harder to diagnose, which is one of the biggest reasons why girls are left out of the diagnostic criteria a lot of the time and kind of slip through that net the first time around. It doesn't mean that they don't eventually do get the diagnosis. In some cases that may be so, but it is something that is apparent when the first time they're trying to get diagnosed or seek medical professional help and assistance with that condition. So, masking. It kind of sounds like exactly what it is. Now, masking is when you are pretending to be somebody else, or putting on an act or a performance or a persona, or putting on a front to cover your own kind of like personal traits of autism, your own kind of like insecurities and stuff. And it happens, it's not just females who actually mask, males mask as well. I've done a great deal of masking in my time as well, but I'm kind of learning to just be myself, because I feel like masking isn't a good thing. I feel like masking is something that is detrimental to me. I mean, some people might really enjoy masking, like, you know, they might get some benefit out of it because it helps them operate themselves in a certain environment. But for me, it's a very difficult one to do because it makes me not me. And let me put it this way: when I'm quite an introverted person. I like to study stuff and read stuff and learn stuff in my office, in my house, you know, snuggle down on the couch, in my bed or whatever, learn, watch videos, make videos, write music, you know, all that kind of stuff. But I like to do it on my own. I like to be on my own a lot of the time, and I like libraries. I don't like going out to clubs. I don't like drinking alcohol and going, you know, I don't drink alcohol, but I mean, I don't like going to clubs where people drink alcohol and like have a big time and there's loads of people in there and like, but I do play music, and I play in a band, and my band is signed to 2 record labels, which means that we have done a fair amount of touring and playing music around the world. And so when I play music, I don't want to be in the club environment, so I'm usually backstage, you know, in the green room until we come on and play, and then we pack the van and we go. But in terms of actually being in that environment and going on stage, I'm quite a shy person, but I put on a persona, a performance, because I'm performing as a musician at that time, and I put on a performance as a musician, and I go out there and I do it, and then I come off stage and then I do my other thing. And that's why I get exhausted after gigs. Now, that is typically how someone who is masking their autism, you know, spectrum symptoms does life with masking. Because let's put it this way, put it into a perspective of a young girl. So a young girl who is very shy, she's quite introverted and she likes collecting stuff, and she just likes to read books on, say, Harry Potter, right? And she's in high school, and she is quite a shy person, doesn't really talk to anybody, you know, quiet, you know, a girl of, you know, few words. But she goes to school and she sees all this hustle and bustle. There's a load of people there. They're talking about different things, not just Harry Potter, all this kind of stuff going on. And girls are quite social, you know, and they've got big social circles and social friends, and they want to do this, that, and the other, and talk about all things. And the girl who's on the spectrum joins this school and decides that, oh my goodness, you know, this is quite overwhelming. How do I fit into this category? How do I exist in this environment? And then the only way they see fit is to, you know, front it and be like, yeah, of course, I totally get what you're talking about. I get, you know, I totally into, like, you know, all the magazines you guys watch, or the apps, or the websites, or the YouTubes that you're talking about. But then also doesn't really mention the Harry Potter thing, and just makes out as if she is outgoing as the other girls, because she doesn't want to kind of like be outside of that friends group. And this is typically how masking works, but it's not a good thing for a simple reason. This is what happens. So they're masking. They're themselves, they are them as a person, but they're masking their autism side, you know, the things that people might find unusual. And then they mask all day, and then they come home and it's like a complete like explosion. Like they have like a, oh my god, complete meltdown, shutdown, you know, breakdown, because they've exhausted their resources of being a human. You know, how exhausting is that, putting on an act all day? And then they come home and they just have a huge meltdown. I mean, imagine that happening every day, like 5 days out of the week, and on the weekend, then you're just too exhausted to do anything. If you're a parent watching this video right now and you know exactly what I'm talking about, please give this video a thumbs up, because I'd love to see how relatable this is to other people, because I feel like it is relatable and people can relate to it. And I just want to make sure that, yeah, we're exchanging awesome things. So please give it a thumbs up if you relate, or leave me a comment if it sounds like somebody you know. But that is typically how masking works. Now, it comes from the fact that people on the autism spectrum who are of lower support needs, which used to be called like high functioning, but people don't really use functioning labels anymore. But people with like lower support needs who are on the autism spectrum, they actually are like thinking about those things, like social circles and wanting to make friends and being part of groups and stuff, and they're actively thinking in those ways. And so they're trying to make workarounds, and these are called like you know, or workaround topics. So for instance, like, you know, if you're thinking like, oh, I want to, you know, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in certain social situations, so then you study somebody in a social situation and then you watch what they do, and so you just copy them next time. You know, this is a workaround or a hack for figuring out that you could actually be in that situation without actually having to really understand or adhere to those social conventions. Now, girls on the autism spectrum kind of want to be more in that social thing. It's kind of like a, you know, I don't know, it's instinctual or whatever, but they want to be in social circles, and they want to like talk to people on a certain level and have those kind of relationships and have those intimate kind of like you know, friendships with people where they can talk about things, I don't know. But the entire the idea of doing all that thing, it can be overwhelming, because if you're on the autism spectrum, those things kind of don't come easy. So you have to kind of pretend that you already know those things, which can really get you into kind of sticky situations, because then they might think that you are cool with something, but then you may have a meltdown as a, you know, say they say, oh, we're going on a camping weekend, we're all going to go camping and do this thing with like a club with school, but that's something that would terrify me, and it might terrify some other girls on the spectrum. But you know, if they did that camping trip, they would then maybe have a meltdown, and of course their friends and stuff would be like, oh my goodness, who's this, you know, what's happening to this person? They were absolutely fine, but now they're having this huge like meltdown, and why? It would be kind of like puzzling for them. It wouldn't be like something bad, I'm just saying that it's puzzling for them. So the reason masking kind of can get you into sticky situations is because it's not being 100% honest with everything that you're doing or being. But then again, masking isn't something that's voluntarily done. A lot of the time masking is done involuntarily. It's kind of like something that they can't control. It's something that just happens because you're in a situation where you have to try and figure it out. It's almost like this: the autism brain wants to solve puzzles constantly. That's it. That's its main priority. Autism brains want to solve puzzles. So how do you solve the issue of social communication? When you mimic somebody else in that situation by masking, by putting on a persona, becoming somebody else, a kind of like a public performance, and relay that performance to those people to overcome the problem of that thing, and so that it becomes that problem solution is already done. So this is what I mean by you know, masking is kind of it's a difficult thing to deal with. But that respect, if you are seeing masking in people, my advice would be to tell them that like they don't have to mask if they can control it. They should be themselves, they should be 100% themselves, and they should try to be as much themselves as possible, because being themselves is always going to be better. The only thing you can't improve upon is the truth, as my father would say. So I would highly recommend doing that. But parents listening to this right now, if you're interested in joining a webinar that I made specifically for parents and caregivers of people on the spectrum, you can click the link in the card above. It's a live webinar you can watch completely for free, and it has some training there for people who are wanting to, you know, do it a little bit more with, you know, learning about autism for their children's sake, etc., etc. So leave it in the card above here and in the description down below. But for now, guys, that is all. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.